What's new from Apple? There's the new iPhone 16 Pro, built for Apple Intelligence. And it comes with the all-new camera control, giving you an easier way to quickly access your camera tools. The new Apple Watch Series 10 has our biggest display and our thinnest design ever. And this? It's the sound of active noise cancellation, now available on one of 2 new AirPods 4 models. So quiet. Check out all of the new products and new features at apple.com. You can even buy yourself something new. See apple.com for product availability updates. Apple Intelligence coming this fall.
Auto insurance can all seem the same until it comes time to use it. So don't get stuck paying more for less coverage. Switch to USAA Auto Insurance and you could start saving money in no time. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
This is what you do when you've just found that statement handbag on eBay and you want to build an entire wardrobe around it. You start selling to keep buying. Yep, on eBay. Over that all-black everything phase? List it and buy all the color. Feeling more vintage than ever? It's out with the new and in with the pre-loved. Next thing you know, you've refreshed your wardrobe basically without spending a dime. Yeah, eBay, the place to buy and sell new, pre-loved, vintage, and rare fashion.
Can you, shut up?
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
If you just read the bio for Dr. Steve, host of Weird Medicine on Sirius XM 103 and made popular by 2 really comedy shows, Opie and Anthony and Ron and Fez, you would have thought that this guy was a bit of, a clown.
Why can't you give me the respect that I'm entitled to?
I've got diphtheria crushing my esophagus. I've got Ebola virus dripping from my nose. I've got the leprosy of the heart valves, exacerbating my incredible woes. I want to take my brain out and blast it with the wave, an ultrasonic, echographic, and a pulsating shave. I want a magic pill for all my ailments, the health equivalent of Citizen Kane. And if I don't get it now in the tablet, I think I'm doomed and I'll have to go insane. I want a requiem for my disease, so I'm paging Dr. Steve. Dr. Steve!
From the world-famous Cardiff Electric Studios in beautiful downtown Bedabbler City, it's Weird Medicine, the first and still only uncensored medical show. The history of broadcast radio, now a podcast. I'm Dr. Steve with my little pal, Dr. Scott, the traditional Chinese medicine provider, gives me street cred. The wacko alternative medicine assholes. Hello, Dr. Scott.
Hey, Dr. Steve.
This is a show for people who have never listened to a medical show on the radio or the internet. If you got a question you're embarrassed to take to your regular medical provider, or if you can't find an answer anywhere else, give us a call at 347-766-4323. That's 347-POOHEAD. Follow us on Twitter at Weird Medicine or at DrScottWM. Visit our website at drsteve.com for podcasts, medical news, and stuff you can buy. Most importantly, we are not your medical providers. Take everything you hear with a grain of salt. Don't act on anything you hear on this show without talking it over with your healthcare provider. All right, very good. Please don't forget stuff.drsteve.com, stuff.drsteve.com for all of your shopping needs. Makes huge difference for us. And you can just click straight through, go to Amazon if you like, or you can scroll down and see products that we talk about on this show, including the Rody robotic tuner, and they now have the Rody Coach, which will teach you how to play your instrument. So if you are going to give somebody a guitar this year, or if they have a guitar and it's just sitting there, give them a Rody Coach. That's a little more pricey. It's about $199. If you go to rody.drsteve.com, there may still be a discount for that, but check it out. And see, DNP Carissa, who I guess we've lost to New Jersey.
The true love.
Will not be able to demonstrate her what was the instrument that she was learning? Ukulele. Ukulele chops, but we've got some other people out there that could try it. But the Rody Coach is amazing, or the Rody robotic tuner. It's $100 and something bucks for something that if you give this to someone on your list that plays the guitar, they are going to crap themselves. They'll be very happy with it for very little money. Check out Dr. Scott's website at simplyherbals.net. Check out our Patreon. Starting to do more live streams on Patreon that are Patreon exclusive. And Patreon gets first crack at the public live streams as well. So check that out at patreon.com/weirdmedicine. There's exclusive content there. There are shows that you can no longer get on the internet otherwise. So check that out, patreon.com/weirdmedicine. And I still have my cameos at very low price. So cameo.com/weirdmedicine. I had fun doing those while I was in Dallas. So anyway.
Cool.
All right.
Let's go.
If you listen on the Sirius XM show, at the very end, they give that number out again, and they say, yes, that's a real phone number chosen by a grown man in the medical profession. It was like, well, okay, borborygmus was taken. Atherosclerotic cardiovascular, 1-800 cardiovascular disease was already taken. So, good Lord. They're just trying to have a little fun. Anyway, check out Dr. Scott's website at simplyherbals.net. That's simplyherbals.net. Anything going on there?
Just a lot of nasal spray.
Yeah? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good
stuff.
Yeah, check out his CBD peppermint nasal spray. It's amazing. It's not a lot of peppermint in that one.
No.
Is
just
there
enough.
any?
Just enough. Oh, yeah.
There is some.
Yeah,
Okay.
there sure is. Yeah, just a little bit.
So it's a topical anti-inflammatory plus the CBD. And I really, if I'm out of it, and I mean out of the stuff, I'm usually out of it. But if I'm out of the nasal spray, I suffer a little bit. I keep some on hand at all times. Check out our website at drsteve.com. I did want to throw out a couple of things here. I put out a tweet. Our friend and fellow rigorous scientist Gweneth Paltrow was pushing this stuff. I'm not going to say the brand name. It doesn't matter. Called alkaline water. Now, do you guys in traditional Chinese medicine have anything to say about alkaline water?
Not in the medicine part. I actually like the alkaline water myself personally, but I don't know that there's
you like to drink it.
Yeah, that's correct. I don't know that there's anything to it.
Somehow it tastes good to you or something.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe just a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything scientific about it, but I do like it. But I'm certainly not going to say that I've ever read any research on it.
Yeah, no, she pushes it for its healthy benefits. And you can actually get closer to the mic. I know I was fussing at you during the mic check, but for some reason your mic was really hot. And now it's not. So I'm like this
smoking.
I was an audio engineer when everything had VU meters and tape, and it was just so much easier. You just zeroed everything to 0 VU, and then you put a test tone through the system at 0 VU, and you calibrated everything to that, to where your needles all said 0, and then everything was perfect. The headroom on this digital thing is so great. There's a much greater dynamic range, signal to noise ratio, but it makes it very difficult. But for me, anyway, being an old school audio type person, which is why we're still doing a radio show instead of a video show on the internet. But anyway, so Gwyneth was pushing this, and the thing that cracked me up was she said, I'd love to have my alkaline water in the morning. Now, let's talk a little bit about alkaline water.
Okay.
So this is water that has a pH that is greater than 7.
Right.
That's all it is. Water has a pH of 7. pH is a measure, and we could go through the math, but it's a measure of alkalinity or acidity.
Okay.
So if the pH is less than 7, you have an abundance of naked protons, which makes something acid. And if it's greater than 7, you have a dearth of those or an abundance of hydroxyl groups, which is OH.
Okay.
And so you have H2O, which is really HOH. So you have the hydrogen atom and then the hydroxyl ion. And hydrogen is positively charged, hydroxyl, OH is negatively charged, and they just sort of float around. Sometimes they're bound together, sometimes they're not.
Okay.
And you can have free protons and free hydroxyl groups, but the net charge of water is neutral, right? So there should be an equal number of positive and negative charges.
Gotcha.
So anyway, so if you have more base, then it'll be alkaline. And if you drink alkaline water, what will happen is that the body will go, no, we're going to piss out more alkali so that to return the pH of the bloodstream to 7.4.
Okay, got it.
It is tightly
super
regulated.
One of the most tightly, I think, in the body. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Potassium is pretty tightly regulated, but even that isn't. Varies more than the pH of
the bloodstream.
Of the bloodstream. Yeah. So your body will never tolerate an alkaline pH for long or an acidic pH for very long. It'll always try to return it back to 7.4. So if you drink acid, you're going to piss out acidic urine, or you will metabolize it somehow to make it less acidic to return your pH back to 7.4. And likewise, if you take in alkaline, so it really does absolutely nothing. But what I loved about what she was touting was, I take my alkaline water in the morning with with a spritz of lime. So she has very expensive alkaline water that she's touting for the benefits of drinking an alkaline substance and then putting
an acid in it.
Putting an acid in it.
I didn't see that.
You see?
Oh my gosh.
Your stupid minds. Stupid.
He's a fucking idiot.
So you're putting an acid in it and neutralizing it. So now you just basically have lime water. So, I mean, she's not doing any harm other than people thinking that there's some benefit to it. And then this water is very expensive.
Yes, it is.
For what you get.
Do you know, and I don't know this, and this might be something to look up. Do you know if she didn't put out the acid in it, is the alkaline water more easily absorbed into the system or anything?
What do you mean?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying it because that's the only thing I've ever heard anybody say.
Water is the most easily absorbed substance in the body. I mean, that's our body is...
Mostly water. Yeah.
Mostly water.
Yep.
So no.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, and I think that's the only thing I've ever seen as far as like any claims that it's more easily absorbed into the.
Could there be? Okay,
I don't know.
Now,
no, I don't know, honestly.
Could there be some benefits to pissing out alkaline urine? Yes.
Okay.
But it has to do with things like kidney stones.
Yes.
And there are certain stones that will not form in the presence of an alkali. There are some that more readily form in the presence of an alkali. So you need to know what you're talking about, what kind of stones you have. So I could imagine someone that's right on the verge and they just need a little bit of alkali in their urine to prevent a certain kind of kidney stone. I'm not going to say it because I don't want people that have that to go out and buy this stuff. Talk to your urologist. But that's the only benefit that I can think of.
Because they would actually have to test the actual stones.
Well, yes. And so,
I mean, ideally.
Correct.
Ideally,
well, yes, ideally, that is the correct way to
identify what kind of kidney stones you've got.
Right. If you have someone with kidney stones, you have to collect them, you send them off to the lab, and then they're uric acid stones, or they're calcium phosphate stones, or they are oxalate stones. And there are things that you can do to prevent those stones if you know what they are.
Right on.
So uric acid stones, people with gout or other problems like tumor lysis syndrome, that's where you have a lot of tumors in the body that respond to, say, chemotherapy, and all of a sudden they all die, and the body's got to do something with all that dead human tissue. And one of the products of that is uric acid. And you can make uric acid stones, or if you have gout, and they give you a drug called probenecid to make you piss out more uric acid so that you don't have as much gout.
Which is what I do.
Yeah, you take the probenecid.
I sure do, thanks to you, yeah.
And but in the beginning, that can precipitate stones. So we'll give those people potassium citrate to change the pH of their urine so it won't produce stones. That's the only benefit that I can think of.
Right on.
And even then, I think potassium citrate, pound for pound, is going to be cheaper than buying alkaline water.
Dr. Steve, could you add just a little bit of baking soda in water and make your own alkaline water?
Sure.
I mean,
that's
that'd
all
be
they're
simple.
doing. I'm sure that's what they're doing.
They're probably tap water into a big bucket and dropping some, and then making it some fancy water.
Yeah, if it's just pure alkaline water without having some other, molecule in there, that's basically how they're doing it.
Right on. Jeez.
All right.
That's what we should open instead of a beer store, as an alkaline water store.
Yeah. Yeah. Sodium bicarb is NaHCO3. So the byproduct of that would be carbon dioxide. And so it'd be carbon dioxide in the presence of an acid.
Okay. Isn't that wild? I do have a quick
She's
question.
A genius.
I have a quick question from Dennis.
Yeah.
He just was wondering, what about the sudden shortage of hydrocodone with acetaminophen that just came out of nowhere?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that. Did you see
I
it?
have.
Okay.
Yes, we have a lot of our. I don't.
A lot of yours, yeah.
I don't tend to write a lot of hydrocodone with acetaminophen. So that is sold under the brand name Norco, Vicodin, Lortab, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of our patients have liver issues, or they have medications that are straining their liver. And so I'm just not or they have liver metastases, tumors in their liver. I'm just not a big fan of just stressing their liver out even more by having them take Tylenol 6 times a day sometimes.
Right.
So and you can't buy hydrocodone by itself like you can oxycodone. Oxycodone is Percocet. It's oxycodone with acetaminophen, but you can also buy it as just oxycodone. Mm-hmm. Whereas hydrocodone in the United States is only sold in the immediate release form as hydrocodone with acetaminophen. So I don't sell any of it. I don't prescribe a lot of it. But I have noticed that people who were already on it, that we tried to refill it, they can't get it. And this is a distribution issue. It's not just that, though. Every week I get notifications, well, we're low on IV diazepam, IV Valium, or we are, there's a shortage of liquid oral morphine, or there's a shortage of IV hydromorphone. And we've kind of descended into a situation where we're beholden to manufacturers that sometimes, or a lot of times, aren't in this country. I really think we need to start making this stuff here, so we'll have it.
Yes, that'd be ideal.
Did you know, and this is on another topic, but it's very similar, there are, to my understanding, no resistors. A resistor is an electronic part, and every circuit requires resistors to step down voltage or to reduce current going to a different part of the circuit or whatever. I'm building a drum machine in there, and 90% of the parts are resistors, and none of them are made in the United States. Zero resistors are made in the United States. So the country that is making them could just say, you know what? Fuck y'all. We're not sending you any more resistors.
Yep. Or we'll just charge you twice. Charge you double.
That. Well, yeah.
Or
but we could tool up to make resistors again, but it would take time to do that. Mm-hmm. And that puts us in a very, very vulnerable place. Mm-hmm. Right now, I don't want to talk about politics on the show. Strategic oil reserves are at an all-time low. We don't make resistors. I don't think we make capacitors. We still make chips in this country, but, we don't mine the ore that is required to make batteries for electronic vehicles. And what happens when we go to all electronic vehicles and then whatever countries are actually producing that just decide that they don't like us anymore because nobody seems to like us, and just says, to hell with you guys. Good luck. Right? So I would like for us to be more self-sufficient. But anyway, so there you go. But that's what's going on with hydrocodone right now, and I'm sorry about that. But anyone should be able to just switch over to oxycodone. Now, The conversion from hydrocodone to oxycodone is 30 to 20. So 30 milligrams of hydrocodone is equal to 20 milligrams of oxycodone. So if you are on, say, 30 milligrams of hydrocodone, then 20 milligrams of oxycodone would do the trick.
Mm-hmm.
So that is still in plentiful supply for right now.
Gotcha.
Okay. But that's a problem. All of a sudden, I'll get a phone call. Well, we can't get X, and X is something that all of our patients are on, and I'm having to frantically write prescriptions for other things.
Gotcha.
It's just it's a nuisance.
It's kind of a daily thing for you guys.
And it's a nuisance for the patient, but it really takes up a lot of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, shoot.
Yep. All right. Sorry about that, but that's the answer, is switch over to something else. Hydromorphone is another one. So oral dilaudid. So 7.5 milligrams of oral dilaudid is equal to 30 milligrams, or roughly equivalent to 30 milligrams of Lortab. So you divide it by 4. So if you were on 30 or 10 milligrams of hydrocodone, then that would be equivalent to about 2.5 milligrams of hydromorphone. Well, they don't make that. They make a 2 and they make a 4.
Yeah. Wow.
So, you could do 1.5 of a 2 or just take a 2. And really with incomplete cross tolerance, in other words, those equivalents I just gave you are for people who are tolerant to both drugs. If you're not tolerant to the hydromorphone, which you won't be, if you switch over from 10 milligrams of hydrocodone to 2 milligrams of hydromorphone, you really should be just fine.
Right. Gotcha.
Because you're not as tolerant to it.
Gotcha.
All right.
Good question.
All right. Yes, very good. I have let me do one story that I found. COVID coronary plaque infection confirms cardiovascular risk. So, by the way, I want everybody listening to this to go to YouTube and search Normal World with Dave Landau and find my episode and just turn it on and put it on a loop and just watch it. I want to get my views up greater than E-Rock's. That was a fun trip. I went to Dallas, Texas, and Dave Landau he's a comedian, hilarious. Really, there's a darkness to him, but there's also a sweetness to him, and he's really, really smart. And it makes for a really good comedian. And his special Prison 10 is still available for a little while longer. But they are very generous. It was really a fun show. Now his co-host Garrett doesn't like to read the jokes that Dave writes for him, but also a very nice guy, well known for being on Nerdrotic. I learned a lot from him about doing some videos stuff, and he's also a very gracious host. So, but the two of them have a show called Normal World. It's on Blaze TV, but they put it right on YouTube. And E-Rock came the day after me, so I really would like for my show to have just a few more views than E-Rock's, but it's fine. It's fine. It all really depends on the topic. But I really had a blast. They let me kind of wax eloquent about the scientific process, which doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun for a comedy show. But then we got into bidets and other just sort of fun things like that. Interesting descriptions of what your scrotum is like when you get to be 68 and you're wearing boxer shorts and things like that. So it was funny. There's a lot of funny stuff in there. The first half, a little more serious, but the second half we get into the more funny things. And I loved it. It's a real TV studio, not like this. I mean, it's a huge warehouse with newsrooms and offices and multiple studios. They have Archie Bunker, All in the Family studio right there, just built into the. Apparently Glenn Beck bought it and moved it there, and it cost like $500,000 or something. I don't know, but it's the actual studio.
Wow.
Or the actual set. And they had the front door that people would walk through. And I knew a guy, Phil Proctor, was from Firesign Theater, and he did some character acting for a while, and he was actually on All in the Family. I saw that, and I knew him. Back in the day, we hung out at the pier in Raleigh for, an evening and really had a nice time. And I'd corresponded with him a bunch back in the 70s and stuff. Well, anyway, he just walked right through that door, and I was standing there where that door was. It was cool.
Funny. Funny.
Let's do this. This is like old school.
It's old school.
Yeah, hang on just a second. Oh, she hung up. Okay. All right. Yeah, that was Tacie. I was getting ready to... So she preemptively hung up.
She knew she was going to hang up anyway. That's right.
If she calls back, we'll put her...
Today's episode is brought to you by Angie. Angie has made it easier than ever to connect with skilled professionals to get all your jobs and projects done well. Let me tell you, there's the version of it where you try to do something at home, and then there's a version of it where you have someone help you, you watch them do it the right way, and you go, thank God I didn't try to do that myself. I have fully done things around the home that I think look good, and then a bang in the night, and I wake up to a shelf collapsing, a painting falling off the wall. I've seen it all go south. I own a home, and I can tell you, I know how much work it can take. Whether it's everyday maintenance and repairs or making dream projects a reality, it can be hard just to know where to start. But now all you need to do is Angie that and find a skilled local pro who will deliver the quality and expertise you need. Whatever your home project, big or small, indoor or outdoor, you can Angie that and connect with skilled professionals to get the project done well. Right now, one of my wish lists is I want a bike for my condo in Milwaukee, and I would love to rig it up on a pulley in the ceiling because I have one of those lofted ceilings, but I'm so scared to try that on my own. Angie has 20 years of home experience, and they've combined it with new tools to simplify the whole process. Bring them your project online or with the Angie app. Answer a few questions and Angie can handle the rest from start to finish, or help you compare quotes from multiple pros and connect instantly, which means you can take care of any home project in just a few taps. Because when it comes to getting the most out of your home, you can do this when you Angie that. Download the free Angie mobile app today or visit Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
This is what you do when you've just found that statement handbag on eBay and you want to build an entire wardrobe around it. You start selling to keep buying. Yep, on eBay. Over that all-black everything phase? List it and buy all the color. Feeling more vintage than ever? It's out with the new and in with the pre-loved. Next thing you know, you've refreshed your wardrobe basically without spending a dime. Yeah, eBay, the place to buy and sell new, pre-loved, vintage, and rare fashion.
Introducing our biggest GMC Acadia ever. Offering bigger screens, bigger views, and even bigger journeys. Live your biggest life in the all-new GMC Acadia.
Hear that? Yeah, that's the sound of you relaxing, because now you're managing diabetes with the Freestyle Libre 3 system. You get to know your glucose levels and where it's headed. Manage your diabetes with more confidence with the Freestyle Libre 3 system. Ready to learn more about the #1 prescribed CGM in the U.S.? Visit freestylelibre.us to learn more. Based on retail sales data for patients' last filled prescription by manufacturer. Refer to the FLAIR NL4 study published in BMJ Open Diabetes Research and Care 2019. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
Earning your degree online doesn't mean you have to go about it alone. At Capella University, we're here to support you when you're ready. From enrollment counselors who get to know you and your goals, to academic coaches who can help you form a plan to stay on track. We care about your success and are dedicated to helping you pursue your goals. Going back to school is a big step, but having support at every step of your academic journey can make a big difference. Imagine your future differently at capella.edu.
But yeah, that was cool as hell. And so Dave's got his own set, a permanent set all set up, and I want you guys to check it out. Now, it's a new show, rough around the edges in some places, but you can see the kind of the fun in it. And it was one of the most fun things that I've ever done.
Cool.
And I came out of there. I even went to my shrink yesterday. She said, well, you've got quite the bounce in your step. And I said, do I? And she said, yeah. I said, well, I was really, really happy with how that went down. And just seeing everybody.
Yes.
Allie Lerman from Compound Media is now working there. and coordinating writing. And she's just delightful. She's one of my favorite people in the world. And Dave is one of my favorite people in the world. Just the nicest person and an actual friend, not just somebody that has me on their show because whatever they're trying to kill time. So I'm hoping to go back for the eclipse and do an eclipse special with them because it's coming right through Dallas in April.
Oh wow!
And then I'm going to pitch to them to be do sort of a regular segment once a month or something for them. So yep, loads of fun.
Cool.
Anyway, check it out, Normal World on YouTube, and I think it was episode 52, but I'm not sure. It just says Dr. Steve. So, all right. Okay, so COVID, coronary plaque infection confirms cardiovascular risk. And this is from Medscape Medical News, and we'll go to the actual article if we need to, because a lot of times they get this stuff wrong, but I did look at it. It was okay. New evidence shows for the first time the virus that causes COVID directly infects atherosclerotic plaques. These are clogs in your coronary arteries, producing persistent inflammatory response. Inflammation is bad.
Yeah, inflammation is bad.
So you know how chicken pox, you get chicken pox, and then it retreats into nerve ganglia outside of the spinal column and then sits there and festers until it comes back out under stress when you're older and causes shingles. Well, this is kind of the same thing. These damn viruses are just setting up shop and multiplying very slowly, but then the body is reacting to it and causing inflammation. And it says this is a study from New York University's Grossman School of Medicine. It says our study shows there is persistence of viral debris in the artery, and there's an important inflammatory response. We can now look at ways to control this inflammation. So just knowing it's there, that means that we can eventually do
Work
something
with it,
about
yeah.
it. Yeah. But, that's bad. Now, I am going to say that this is something that would be distinct from the vaccine. Okay, I know I am, and I made a big deal out of this on Dave's show. I'm not a vaccine mandate person. We've talked about this. I took the vaccine this year because I don't want to lose productivity if it'll help me even a little bit. And I'm at risk of dying from even a moderate infection because of what it did to my lungs. The first time I got it. So I tell everyone, do your own research. Our bodies ourselves was a big deal in the 60s. Don't tell me what to do with my body, but then people try to tell me, well, you have to take this vaccine. That I don't understand. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. And I am certainly not a pro-mandate person. I think that under any other circumstance, you're supposed to weigh the risk, benefits, and alternatives for yourself and then decide what you're going to do. Right? Right?
Agreed.
I mean, am I wrong about that?
Give them the information. Let them do what they want.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that's
I
my
agree.
position on this.
I agree.
And anyway, other viruses can cause inflammation in the heart, like myocarditis, but they can't think of another virus that stimulates the sequence of events in the coronary artery inflammation like we're seeing here. Influenza is also associated with increased risk of cardiovascular events, but that is thought to be because it just stresses the body so much. It's no evidence that directly affects the coronary arteries. So there's still a lot going on. I talked on Dave's show. We don't have any long-term data. It's not possible to have long-term data. We can only have data stemming from, right around November of 2020.
Right.
That's it.
Yep.
We're getting ready. So that's 3 years.
God,
in November of 2023.
It's hard to believe.
So there's
quick.
no 20-year data. There isn't any. We will have some. The one thing that is beneficial out of all of this is that people are talking about science and trying to use some critical thinking. But more than that, when you go to the emergency room now and you've got a viral or upper respiratory infection, they do this thing called a viral respiratory panel now.
Okay.
They never did these before. People would come in and have what's called atypical pneumonia, a.k.a. viral pneumonia.
Right.
And then they would die from it. We'd never know what it was. We just said, viral pneumonia. Well, now we know.
Right.
They do this thing, and they'll tell you if you have influenza, which is, we could do that before, SARS-CoV-2, which we could do before, but now one of the other coronaviruses. Do you have rhinovirus, which is a common cold virus? Do you have parainfluenza? We never tested for that stuff before. Now that we're testing for it, we can start to look at, can we just kill these damn things and be done with it?
Wow. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, they even let me on Normal World talk about how we eradicated smallpox.
Oh, wow.
I mean, they just let me go, well, for better or worse. You know?
Cuts you loose, huh?
Yeah.
No strain.
Yeah, no, it was fun. And no, Dave's a very good host, and he was good at moving things along, but they were interested, you know? Anyway. All right. Well, enough about me. I think this is very interesting. We will look at how this virus affects cardiac tissue going forward. I really think this is going to be a short-lived effect.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything special about this coronavirus other than, you know, the fact that it probably was the result of gain-of-function research. I don't know. I don't know. I'll be the first to say I don't know. It's just a lot of coincidences involved in how it came out and where it came out and all that kind of stuff. And but I don't think there's anything special about it in the sense that once the kids who have been exposed to this as children grow up and we get a couple of generations away, it's just going to be another cold virus, just like the other 5 coronaviruses, which, by the way, are not completely benign.
No.
Kill 10 to 20,000 people a year in this country, or thought to. We're going to get a better number on that now because of the fact that we are testing for it now.
Yeah.
You know.
No, I know. I agree. Hey, and Philip's got a good follow-up question to that.
Yep.
Does an anti-inflammatory diet help with this inflammation in the arteries?
Probably.
Yeah, I was going to say absolutely. It's a good thing to practice anyway.
Inflammation sucks.
Anywhere.
I take turmeric every day just because maybe it'll help.
Yeah. Yeah, I take turmeric. I take boswellia. And
I don't see a downside to that. You know, people will say, well, you know, does vitamin D work? And it's like, well, work for what?
Yeah.
If you want to prevent rickets, we know it works. Yeah. But for this other stuff, like cardiovascular disease and cancer and things, you know, the data is pretty crummy. But it isn't going to do any harm to take. Right. Just don't megadose vitamin D. So I feel the same way with turmeric. I don't see a downside to it.
No, or an anti-inflammatory diet. I can't imagine. No. You know, not going to say it's going to fix it, but definitely it's a pretty.
It might help.
It might help,
and it's not going to hurt.
Right.
So those things I don't have a problem with. Yep. If you feel better doing it,
do it.
Yeah, it's the stuff where if you're bypassing something that we know works to do something that is iffy, then we have problems with that.
Right.
Or if the thing has other adverse effects that you're not taking into account. All right?
Totally agree. Yep.
All right. Let's take some phone calls, Dr. Scott.
Sounds good.
Number one thing, don't take advice from some asshole on the radio.
Very good advice. Sage advice.
Yeah, Dr. Steve, I'm trying to get on the show.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I guess just forget this. Punching out.
Okay, he's punching out.
Perfect.
He's auguring in and he's punching out. Yes, this is the 347-766-4323 right now is a voicemail line. And it's just easier, and we do a better show that way. This is the Dean Adele version where you call in and then he answers your question like pretending that it's live. But we will be doing live shows again. I'll be doing those live stream on YouTube, and people can ask questions live there. So be watching that. Go to youtube.com/@weirdmedicine and just sign up for notifications. And we'll go. it goes well enough, I'll set up a schedule so people will know when it is. Okay. You have to be careful because if I do it Sunday night, I'm going up against, Tukey Soup. And if we do it Saturday afternoon at 2, we're going up against Carl. WATP is recording in 10 minutes. Okay. And, there's Cardiff Electric. He's on there so much that I'm always feel like I'm going to interfere with one of his broadcasts. So you have to kind of stake out your time and just go for it. But and I need more free time to do that as well. But we're working on it. Working on it. Might be Friday nights. Friday nights might be the night to do it. All right. Here we go.
Hey, Dr. Steve.
Hello.
If Parkinson medication works because it increases dopamine in your brain, and street drugs like meth get you high because they increase dopamine,
okay.
Hypothetically, have you ever heard of levodopa drugs being used recreationally?
Give thyself a bell.
When I first heard this question, and this was sent to me by Cameo, cameo.com/weird medicine, by the way. I'm trying to get up to a certain number so I can get to gold status. So I dropped my price down to $2. And when I was in Dallas doing Dave's show, I had quite a few because at $2, it's like, well, that's just free. Yeah. Yep. And but it was fun doing them. And this was Donna, and she sent me like 20 of them to do. So thank you, Donna. And this was one of the ones I said, please call this one in. So Parkinson's disease is a movement disorder. There's this thing called the striatum nigra in the brain that dies, and it causes tremor and stiffness in the face. They call it masked faces, where the patient's just unable to make lifelike expressions sometimes, and it causes trouble with gait. And then there is a dementia that can be associated called Lewy body dementia. And so it's a mess. And so one of the things that you can do, particularly in the beginning, is give people levodopa, and it crosses the blood-brain barrier, and it helps with the stiffness and stuff. It doesn't work forever, but it is a temporizing maneuver, and we've got to come up with a better treatment for this, something that will, where we could create a new striatum nigra in the brain or something, But anyway. So I wondered about this as well, and it turns out there are case reports of people that were increasing their levodopa because they were getting high off of it. Oh, wow. And they felt so good that they refused to take the dose that the doctors prescribed for them. And because it was causing them harm, and they were getting euphoria, and they were taking it outside of the prescriptive control of their provider, it was classified as a substance abuse disorder. So, yeah, you can get high off of this stuff. Now, some of these other drugs do more than just affect dopamine, but yeah, I thought that was really interesting. I'd never heard of anybody abusing that particular drug.
It makes sense.
Don't try this at home either, people. There are adverse effects for levodopa. Yeah. All right.
Hey, Dr. Steve, it's John.
Hey, John.
I had an exam with my provider.
Yes.
My cholesterol is super high, and the only difference from last year is my intake of soda pop. Does that have any correlation? Thanks. Bye.
Well, okay. How interesting. I found an article on Medicine Net, and this is an example of kind of crap medical journalism, because the headline is sugary sodas wreak havoc with cholesterol levels, harming the heart. Okay? So they're saying that if you drink sugary sodas, take out the middle clause, you are harming the heart. Correct? Mm-hmm. That's what they're saying.
Right.
Sugary sodas, blank, 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 harming the heart. So this was a study of this person who did this study. That's all she does. It's Nicola McCowan, and it seems to be she's all over the place when it comes to sugary drinks. So I wonder what happened in her past where she got a thing for doing research on why sugary drinks are bad for you. But it says here, sugar-sweetened drinks can play havoc with your cholesterol and triglyceride levels, which increases your risk for heart disease. Jesus, let me start that over again. That was really bad. Sugar-sweetened drinks can play havoc with your cholesterol and triglyceride levels, which increases your risk for heart disease and stroke, a new study finds. So, yes, elevated cholesterol levels are associated with increased risk of heart attack and stroke. It's not the same thing as saying sugary sodas wreak havoc, which, by the way, is not a medical term, with cholesterol levels, quote, harming the heart. Anyway, so it says here specifically, drinking more than 12 ounces, which is one standard can of sugary sodas or fruit drinks a day, may not bode well for your cardiovascular health. Yeah, may not. Okay, so think before you drink. There's accumulating evidence linking sugar-sweetened beverages to adverse health outcomes, and this message is clear, said lead researcher Nicola McCowan, a nutritional epidemiologist at some human nutrition research center on aging at Tufts University in Boston. So, I mean, she's a real deal. She's got a lot of articles in the medical literature. Now, McCowan and her team found that drinking more than 12 ounces of sugary drinks a day was linked to a 53% higher odds of high triglycerides, boo, and a 98% higher odds of low HDL cholesterol. That's good cholesterol compared with drinking less. So HDL is the good cholesterol, and LDL we think of as quote unquote bad cholesterol. There's more nuance than that. But if you take your total cholesterol and you divide into it your HDL cholesterol, if that ratio is 3 or less, then we think that's good. Mm-hmm. So if you have an LDL cholesterol, a total cholesterol of 120 and your HDL is 40, then that would be 3 to 1. That would be, you would be in the lower risk category. This doesn't say anything about LDL or anything else. It's just that people who drink 12 ounces of sugary drinks a day was linked to higher odds of low HDL cholesterol. I didn't define that in this article, so we're going to go to the actual article. Now, it says neither low-calorie sweetened drinks nor 100% fruit juice was associated with negative changes in cholesterol. So, it's really just got to be the sugar. Mm-hmm. It's possible that the carbonation is affecting things. We know that carbonation seems to affect bone density. Mm. But let me see. There's just not sugar-sweetened beverages taste good. Many are caffeinated. They're convenient, all appealing qualities for many Americans. We can't keep overlooking the fact that they are unhealthy for us, she says. So she has a real bias. Mm-hmm. She's saying these things are unhealthy. So we have to really look at her studies and make sure that there isn't any inherent bias in that. Yeah. And she's like, she's an activist. For starters, children shouldn't be given these drinks. Giving little ones sugary drinks is a surefire way to get them, quote, hooked, unquote, on the highly sweet taste. For older adults, switching to flavored seltzers or adding a splash of 100% juice or herbal tea to plain seltzer can quench the craving for bubbles and flavor. Really? Do we have a study that shows that? Mm-hmm. This is just their idea. Instead, opt for water, tea, coffee, or unsweetened. Now, listen, I'm not saying sodas are good for you. I don't drink soda myself. No. But so let's look at this study. Here it is. So Nicola McCowan was the last author. So she is that's good. That means that she was in charge of this. Okay. And then Danielle Haslam, Gina Peloso. These people are research assistants or residents or something. But the final author is usually the one that is running the thing. So she's the real deal. And so what they looked at was fasting plasma lipoprotein concentrations in a cohort of 3,146 people from 1991 to 2014 and 3,584 people from 2002 to 2001. So what they did was they went through the Framingham Offspring study, and there's just a bunch of data in there, and they went data mining for this.
Okay.
So beverage intakes were estimated from food frequency questionnaires and grouped into 5 intake categories. And then so they said, we found that regular, which is greater than 1 serving per day, versus low, which is less than 1 serving per month, sweetened sugary beverage consumption was associated with greater mean density in high density lipoprotein cholesterol. Now, you'll notice they don't say a GD thing about how this is associated with cardiovascular events other than saying that, well, we know low HDL is associated with increased cardiovascular events. Then they said cumulative average intakes of low-calorie sweetened beverages were not associated with changes in non-high-density lipoprotein cholesterol, LDL, or incident dyslipidemias. In other words, other cholesterol, deranged cholesterol stuff. So their conclusion in the actual study is sweetened sugary beverage intake was associated with adverse changes in high-density lipoprotein cholesterol and triglyceride concentrations. So there you go. That's all they found.
Okay.
Now, would I use that in my practice to say, hey, go easy on the? Yeah. I mean, I don't see a whole lot of benefit in drinking regular Coke on a regular basis. Right. My mother-in-law will order a salad and then order a large Coke.
Yeah.
And these people are actually saying, well, yeah, actually the aspartame flavored ones are better. Mm-hmm. They don't have this effect. So they're pushing, Diet Coke. And then you have other studies where people are saying, oh, aspartame bad. So it just depends. But so I don't see the benefit in drink. I don't drink sweet tea. I'll guarantee you that if they tested sweet tea, Southern sweet tea, it would say the same shit.
Yeah, I would
it's
think
the sugar.
You would think, yeah. Definitely do.
And taking a big slug of just sugar water like that will increase your, a spike in insulin, which causes all kinds of problems. And then you will drive your blood sugar low. And as you drive your blood sugar low, then the body's going to turn down its sensitivity to that signal. So if you keep spiking throughout the day with, however many grams of sugar are in this, making your insulin jump up and up and up and down and up and down, then eventually you end up with diabetes, type 2 diabetes. Right. And that's a known risk to drinking, a lot of substance or eating a lot of substances that have unprocessed or just free sugar in them. So I'm, this clickbait, sugary sodas wreak havoc with cholesterol levels, harming the heart. There's a germ of truth in that, but that's a crappy headline.
Yeah.
It doesn't wreak havoc. It increases the risk of having a low, high-density lipoprotein, which is the good cholesterol. And that is associated with increased risk of heart attack and stroke, but harming the heart is just really a clickbait bullshit title. All right? So I'm not a fan of medical journalism, as you're aware, and that's just a good example of it. Now let me show you something else, though. This is from the International Stroke Conference. This is from the American Heart Association Journal. So while I'm looking this stuff up, this is what I find.
Okay.
Abstract WP 265, debunking the myth of regular soda beverages and the risk of incident cardiovascular events. So they said the goal of this study was to determine the effect of soda beverage intake on the occurrence of cardiovascular and disease in a large prospective cohort. Now, this was postmenopausal women, but still, a lot of people, 93,000 people, as opposed to, 2,000-3,000 in this other study. And that was just looking at an intermediate endpoint, which was HDL. This is looking at actual cardiovascular events. That's what we care about. Mm-hmm. If I could give you a pill that would quadruple your bad cholesterol, but would reduce the risk of heart attack and stroke by 50%, we would do it.
Of course, yeah.
You don't care about the intermediate endpoint. You care about the actual endpoint, which is cardiovascular events.
Right.
So they said, so they looked at 93,000 women. The rates of diabetes mellitus were higher among regular, non-caffeinated and caffeinated soda beverage users compared with those with none or minimal use. That makes sense. These people are not only drinking sugar, sodas with sugar in it, they're eating other stuff. And that's the other thing in that other study. They didn't control for lifestyle.
Right.
If you don't exercise and you drink sodas, your HDL is going to be low. Even, if you don't exercise and you drink water, your HDL is going to be low. Mm-hmm. So I didn't see where they controlled for that because it could be a correlation rather than a cause, right?
Yep.
But it says compared with women who are non-users of sugary drinks, the myocardial infarction and stroke was the same. Compared with women who were non-users, regular caffeinated soda beverage users had a lower risk of any stroke. Okay. Isn't that interesting? Hemorrhagic stroke and myocardial infarction. So their conclusion was there appeared to be no increased risk of incident cardiovascular events in women using non-caffeinated or caffeinated soda beverages despite higher rates of underlying diabetes mellitus. Now put that in your hat and shit it out.
In your soda pop and top it off.
All right?
I love it.
So anyway, all right. So this person who called about sugar-sweetened beverages stimulated a whole damn thing. So very interesting question. And the answer is, yeah, it seems to affect your cardiovascular markers in the sense of the good cholesterol seems to be associated with is a decrease in good cholesterol if you drink one sugary drink a day. Mm-hmm. But at least in 93,000 postmenopausal women, it didn't translate to increased cardiovascular events. So we need to do more studies on this. That's the thing. I very often do not pay attention to these intermediate endpoints. Harming the heart. Well, it doesn't seem like it did harm the heart, at least in this cohort. And this is not in some shit journal. This is in the journal Stroke, which is one of the American Heart Association journals. Okay? All right. Ugh. Anyway, we've got some really good questions for the podcast this week. So check out our podcast at drsteve.com and, and other places. You got anything from the fluid family? We've got about 1 minute.
1 minute, yeah, real quick. Johnny wants to know about warfarin and turmeric together. He said he's taking warfarin. They said not to take turmeric with it. So
yeah, because turmeric actually is a COX-2 inhibitor.
It is a bit of a blood thinner, so that is accurate. Yeah. So, good question, JL.
It's a very good question. Always, if you're going to take a supplement, if we mention something on here, talk it over with your primary care or email us and we can send you some information on it. But yeah, I would go easy on that as well, just because hell, we don't know.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, Dr. Scott, we've got a little bit of time left. Let's answer some questions from the fluid family.
The fluid family. How about one from Muddy Baboon?
No, except for that one.
Okay, no, that's all. You guys have a good weekend.
Okay, what do they got?
Here we got. Quick question. I have some tinnitus, so crickets in my right ear. anything in the holistic realm that can provide some relief for that.
Well, okay, what do you do for that?
A couple things. First, I'll try to figure out what's the underlying kind of cause.
There you go.
Give thyself a bell.
Yep. You know, the it can come from anything from a little bit of fluid in the air to the side effects of certain antibiotics can cause.
Yep.
To trauma. If it's just one side, aspirin. It may be just somebody taking too much aspirin, or shooting a gun on that one side has caused the area to have some ringing.
Yeah, hearing loss is a big one.
Yeah. So if it's mechanical, it's really tough to treat as far as the holistic component. If it's something that you're taking, certainly stopping that can help. But a lot of times I do a lot of sinus treatment and a little bit of drainage, lymphatic drainage out of the ear and into the throat, and sometimes it'll help with the with tinnitus. So sometimes acupuncture can help, but I would make sure I find somebody that knows what they're doing. And there's you look out on the internet and there's 1,000 different things to cure tinnitus without people knowing what exactly is the underlying
cause. If it's reversible, go for something reversible. Head and neck trauma.
Yeah.
Again, diuretics can cause tinnitus. Anti-malarial drugs, some antidepressants can do it. If I would see an ear, nose, and throat person, they're the ones that deal with this. And sometimes you just have to use, just like Dr. Scott used, what do you call it when you put the little pane here and it gated, what do you call it?
Fatigue-gated channel theory.
Yeah, fatigue-gated channel theory. They can do that with hearing as well, where they give you a different noise that's not as noxious, and it distracts the brain from the one that's driving you crazy. Yeah. But hearing loss can do it as well. So the first thing they're going to do is check your hearing.
Yeah. So the answer is yes. There are some things in the holistic realm, depending on what the cause is.
Correct.
So that'd be it.
Okay. There is a super chat from Franklin Scheckler. Thank you for the $2. It says, if Tukey has a cervix, should he see a gynecologist? Now, Dr. Scott, the thing you got to understand about Dr. Scott is he's not in this world at all. He doesn't give a shit about it. He doesn't know who the fuck Tukey is unless I show him who Tukey is. So Tukey is an Oscar the Grouch looking puppet by Bedabbler, and it is one of his alter egos. And Tukey's origin story is that Bedabbler was using this puppet to, somebody, maybe it was Ray DeVito, someone was using the Tukey puppet as a masturbatory device.
Okay.
And eventually one day something magical happened and Tukey came to life because of all the
action.
Yeah, all the action, the dried semen, I guess. So that presumes that Tukey has a cervix, but not really. When magic is involved, then I don't think that we have to assume that Tukey has actual reproductive organs and parts and stuff. So seeing a shaman would be better for Tukey.
Or at least start with your primary care provider.
Well, yeah. Well, in this case, should be a shaman because Tukey is that origin story is a magical origin story. So yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming. See you next week.
All right. See, Dr. Scott doesn't understand any of this stuff. So we have floating potatoes, and now Tukey soup is one. If you ever want to know anything about what's going on with crazy. I'm not supposed to use that word anymore. With the more disturbed elements of the internet. And the sort of random humorous things that you can find out of their YouTube channels. Tukey Soup, 9 or 10 p.m. on Sunday nights and it's basically talk soup. He uses all the same imagery and everything. And he talks about all these different people on the internet. And it's quite funny. Look for the YouTube channel Bedabbler, and Bedabbling Live is his Saturday morning show, and then Tukey Soup is the Sunday show. It's worth watching if you're interested in learning about the Dabbleverse or just sort of crazy people on the internet who do crazy things. And he finds the most extreme sort of examples of people putting out nutty stuff on YouTube and then comments on it. Okay. All
right, guys. I believe that'll do.
Oh, Franklin said, I gave a much better answer than that dumb question deserved. Well, that's the thing. I remember when Opie called into the show one time and he used some weird voice and he was asking, you remember that? Were you here that day?
I think so.
And he was, talking like that. And even when somebody asks a goofy question, I try to turn it around to answer an actual question that I want to answer. So anyway. All right. Any other questions from the Fluid family?
No, sir.
Okay, we do have fun in the Fluid family. So if you're listening to this on the podcast, come Saturday, usually at 1 p.m. Eastern, and go to youtube.com/@weirdmedicine and, subscribe to the channel. Do the whole notification thing. And if you do the notification thing, you'll be around for the live streams, which I'm going to be doing more of. I did one on Gell-Mann amnesia. Are you familiar with that? Do you know what Gell-Mann amnesia is?
I don't think so.
Has the news ever come to you and done a story about you? Have you ever been the subject of a news story?
Yeah.
How many,
in a good way, of course.
How many mistakes did they make in the reporting of whatever it was that they were doing?
Oh, shit. There's always mistakes.
Well, how many mistakes?
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't give a number.
It was okay. It wasn't just one then.
No.
There were multiple mistakes, right?
Yeah.
When I was up in Vermont, they did a story about our health clinic up there, and everything they said was wrong.
Oh, wow.
But then we turn around and they go, well, and now in Afghanistan news, and you assume everything they're telling you is correct. That is what's called Gell-Mann amnesia, that we forget about the fact that when they talk about something we know about, they get everything wrong. But then
you trust everything.
Then we trust everything else that they say.
Wow, never heard that.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
That is interesting.
It was Michael Crichton came up with that, and he called it Gell-Mann amnesia after Murray Gell-Mann, who was a particle physicist. So
wow,
yeah, isn't that crazy?
Oh, I've never heard of that, but that makes perfect sense, though.
That's why I do this thing on medical journalism, because this is something I know about, and almost every story I read is full of bullshit.
Right.
So anyway,
that's wild.
All right, my friends, thank you very much for hanging out with us. Thanks always go to Dr. Scott. Listen to our SiriusXM show on the Faction Talk channel, SiriusXM channel 103, Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern, on demand, and other times at Jim McClure's pleasure. Please go watch my appearance on Normal World and just put it on loop and just let it run overnight so I can beat E-Rock's numbers. Thank you. Many thanks to our listeners. I love E-Rock. I'm just being an ass. Many thanks to our listeners whose voicemail and topic ideas make this job very easy. Go to our website at drsteve.com for schedules, podcasts, and other crap. Until next time, check your stupid nuts for lumps. Quit smoking, get off your asses, get some exercise. We'll see you in 1 week for the next edition of Weird Medicine. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.